Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, friends and partners, everybody who has decided to participate in our roundtable. And I think that our today's roundtable is one of the most interesting, because we will not be only talking about fisheries industry, but we will be talking about state-of-the-art technologies, about the technological breakthrough, and we have a lot of interesting participants from various countries, from all over the world, from different companies, organizations, commercial structures, banks, also politicians. So I sincerely hope that we will have a very interesting conversation today. And the only thing I'd like to draw your attention to is that we have to stick to the time limit. I kindly ask all our speakers and everybody who will be asking questions. The time is limited, and we will have to finish our discussion at 11:30. So let's be respectful towards each other and stick to the time limit. So please allow me to introduce our guests today, our speakers. Mr. Sergei Gerasimovich Mitin, First Deputy Chairman from Federation Council Committee on Agricultural and Food Policy and Environmental Management. He was everybody who was at the plenary session, Mr. Mitin was talking about this topic, and he's a senator who is supervising fisheries industry and also scientific parts. Mr. Oleg Badera, chair of the board from Vesselink, and he is representing also Committee for Transportation Infrastructure Development, Business Russia, All Russia Public Organization, and Mr. Yuan Bin, chairman of the board of directors, State Development and Investment Corporation from People's Republic of China, and he is representing State Committee for Development and Reforms. Mr. Vyacheslav Bizikov, Deputy Director for Scientific Work from Russian Federal Research Institute of Fisheries and Oceanography. And also we have a guest from Mauritania, from Nosroti, from Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Asad Ishabra, and he's representing the Republic of Kazakhstan. And Mr. Vasily Bogoslovsky, General Director from Clean Seas International Environmental Foundation, and Ms. Natalia Mendes, Head of Work with Startups from Russian Agricultural Bank. This is not everybody. Somebody will join us later. And let me start our discussion. I'd like to remind you that now we are living in the epoch of scientific and research revolutions, and it changes our everyday life and our work. And let's take a look at what we use in our everyday life, and we used to record the information on the discs, and now everything has changed. Now we are living in the era of artificial intelligence, and one machine is managing all the processes, and now we are no longer writing anything in notebooks. We use cloud technologies, and today at our stands we have unmanned apparatus, and in our work we say that we use subsea machines, and as of today the application of remote earth building and everything that is related to the fisheries industry development. And today we would like to analyze the trends that exist nowadays in the fishing industry, and we will give an opportunity to our colleagues to talk about all those achievements. So we'll be talking about the main trends in technologies and the problems that are related to fisheries research. Which topics will we also touch upon? I've mentioned the technical means in the research. Another important issue is the automation and the storage of the data from biological resources point of view, and also the use of state-of-the-art technologies and artificial intelligence, and also the use of unmanned systems, both for the air and remote earthing, and also use of those technologies and AI for the forecast and primary analysis of the data, and also the information automation of fisheries research and studies. So these are the boundaries I'd like to define for our discussion, and if you go beyond those topics, we will not object to that. So please allow me to give the floor to Mr. Mitten so that he can tell us about how our parliament is rendering its support to the science, and what interesting ideas you have in lawmaking activities. Thank you, Kirill Viktorovich, and distinguished colleagues, participants of the Roundtable. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the colleagues from Federation Council and our Committee on Agricultural and Food Policy. Kirill has already mentioned the topic that is related to the development of agricultural and fisheries industry, and we pay special attention to that in the Parliament, and almost at all the plenary sessions we deal with all those matters and issues. And I kindly would like to extend our gratitude for your support, because your institute has selected this topic, which is of paramount importance for the state, because the efficiency of our agricultural industry and fisheries industry will be crucial for the food security and also overall development of the country. And I'd like also to say that the efficient functioning of fishing industry is directly related to the development of domestic science and economy in general, and what has been mentioned before, the large-scale construction of the vessels, when we started it back 4 years ago, and we saw that from the economic point of view, we were not ready for that. The documentation was not there. We didn't have the technological processing equipment, and then when the shipbuilding facilities started this process and they started implementing projects, it showed that we were not ready from the economic point of view, from the point of view of manufacturing of a spare part, and we had to restructure all the economy in order to build state-of-the-art fishing fleet. And that is a very good characteristics that show us that it is very important for the economic development, and the shipbuilding development also demonstrates the degree of readiness for the overall economic development, and that is what lays the economic foundation. So it's a very good descriptive example. From another point of view, it is also important to understand that the world is developing, the humankind is developing, and according to the EU data, in 2021, 800 million around the world, they were suffering from hunger, and many people all around the world are suffering from not very healthy eating habits. And if we take a look at annual growth of agricultural products 1.7%, and that shows us that if we do not take urgent measures and increase the food production, then by 2050 we will have the massive hunger all around the world, all around our planet. So there is a risk of the growth of demand over the supply. So we need to change that paradigm. We need to introduce new state-of-the-art technologies and solutions. And talking about the fisheries industry, the same applies as in agricultural industry, and here we see the third, the fourth, and the fifth technological mode or paradigm. But in general, our country is at the stage of the sixth technological mode with the transition to the seventh one. But we do face some risks related to this transition also in the fisheries industry, and insufficient rates of efficient technological development, and also the non-compliance of the regulatory framework that is lagging behind in this aspect. I can give you an example. In 2021, the indicator for the activity of business amounted to 12%, 79% for Canada. The US has 64%, and China, which is closer to us, they have it at the rate of 41%. In general, the economic indicators for the innovations amounted to 23%, but in some branches of agriculture and fisheries, it's around only 10%. That demonstrates that we need to pay more attention to scientific development in those areas. And as I see it, the field-oriented industry science should be one of the main drivers. So, in this regard, what has to be done on the lawmaking level? We need to take into consideration that the current Russian fisheries is based on the existing aquatic biological resources, and in order to grow that, we need to increase the oceanographic catch and production. And of course, we need to conduct scientific research and this survey work, and we need to speed up this process because we do exercise control over the construction of the fisheries vessels. The same control should be introduced in order to maintain the control over the construction of scientific vessels, and we need to monitor closely the state of water biological resources. Over the recent years, we have seen some good progress, and more than 830 expeditions were executed back in 2021 in a special economic zone and in offshore as well. And there are some indicative examples, the developments of the processing technologies in Kamchatka, crabs, and also the technologies of a high temperature canned products. And with all of that, we need to mention that, and it was mentioned by our minister yesterday, that the number of fish products is growing in terms of the higher technological mode, but we should bear in mind all the figures and the new indicators, and we have our colleagues from China, 5 million tons and 68 million tons. That is the overall catch of fish products in China. In Russia, 306 million tons, and in China, this figure is much more. This is a huge huge country, which is our neighboring country, and it has access to the seas, and these are the indicators that they have achieved. And of course, we think that with the participation of scientists and members of organizations, by 2030, we need to elaborate the new program for the renewal of agricultural and fisheries industry. We need to improve the intergovernmental interaction, and as a lawmaker, I understand that we need to introduce the flexible regulation in order to have the necessary regulatory framework. And in spite of some positive results that we have achieved, the production of biological water resources is about 5 million tons, and that is the best indicator over the last 20 years. And the production of the processed and canned fish products amounts to 4.5 million tons, and the overall volume of the exports is about 2.5 million tons. But it seems to me, if we compare that with our neighbors, these figures should be increased. And Soviet times, it was about 11 to 14 million tons. That was the overall catch, and that is a huge task. And I think that today, during this round table discussion, taking into consideration the professionalism, I'd like to thank NERO, the Institute, for initiating this discussion, and I think that it can give actually an impetus for the overall development of the fisheries industry.
Thank you for your best wishes. I hope we'll live up to your expectations. Now let us proceed with the key challenges and prospects for the development of technological research. Oleg, we have been working a lot with your company lately. Could you please tell us about this experience and about the prospects that you see right now? Thank you, Kirill. First of all, I would like to thank once again the leadership of this NERO Institute. We are a large IT company in Russia. We have been in the market for a long time, and it's very important that the customer wants to change. When we came to the Institute several years ago, it was necessary to identify whether they are willing to streamline new technologies. It is an entity that has been around for 140 years. It's a long time. They have had their own database. And we needed not to lose what has been done before us, but to boost that, to add new technologies in order to make it better and more efficient. That's what we discussed with Kirill back in 2018. We have selected several directions, several areas for modernization, for applying cutting-edge technologies. We've got a presentation here. We started monitoring biological resources. It used to be done in parts, manually, sending expeditions there, or sometimes using manned aircraft. We tried to automate it, adding unmanned aerial vehicles. And now, NERO is a leader in applying all types of unmanned aerial vehicles that exist in Russia and in the world in whole. The aircraft that are being used are presented in our booth. They can carry any equipment around. Their speed is up to 1,000 kilometers per hour. They have made a huge database of images. It is quite unique because the data that they have available in videos and imaging is inexistent in other entities in our country. Next, we needed to process this information quickly. That's why we started using artificial intelligence to process the data we have very accurately and quickly. Before that, biological resources were assessed based on a small piece of information, say in the Baikal Lake, and then we had to extrapolate the data that we obtained for the whole of the lake. But now we are gathering images from all over the lake, processing the information and providing quite accurate metrics and figures for the resources that we are tracing. The next stage of modernization in that area is for the artificial intelligence to be installed on the aerial vehicle itself, and it is processed in real-time mode. You can see the equipment in a booth. They produce images. The information is processed on board, and we've got quantity metrics and other information that is being traced. You see that we can identify quantitative metrics on the the amount of fish in a specific segment of the lake. These are the technologies that are being applied right now. The next stage is delivering cargo. This unmanned vehicle can carry up to 5 kilograms of cargo to 1,000 kilometers and 25 kilograms at 400 kilometers. It may come in handy during an accident at an expedition. Apart from that, Venero has organized a competition at the Skolkovo Innovation Center to obtain a digital library with all the information that has been gathered during 140 years in a digital format so that it is accessible for everyone. We have also made a lot of progress in terms of being more accessible to people on the street. They can now see what type of fish can be found where, if it can be caught, if there are any forbidden areas, and lots of other valuable information both for fishermen and other entities involved in environmental protection, supervision, etc. That's where the Institute is working actively. We're happy to see that the leadership of the entity is not afraid of reform, as is often the case at governmental entities who do not want to have any change. We have an opportunity to apply all the cutting-edge technologies that are available in the world in this institute. I'm happy to take any questions. Oleg, right before personal computers appeared, I can remember very well the shops that had electronic machines. They still calculated in a manual mode because they thought it would be quicker. Of course, we've got many things at the institute that are still done manually, the old-fashioned way, because it's more convenient for people. But I'm happy to know that we have already started doing that, whilst many people have no idea what unmanned aerial vehicles are. Here at the forum, we have already planned the next expedition that would be using this type of unmanned vehicle so that we can avoid using helicopters and making use of much cheaper technologies. Sometimes we have to store samples for a lot of time just because we don't have enough transportation available. And I'm sure my colleagues from other departments will be able to take note of this. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Bing. We are monitoring our neighbors closely. Everyone who is involved in fishery research, Sergei told that there are 60 millions of samples, but that's not everything. I'm sure that using technology makes our fishery industry one of the leaders in the world. Sometimes we do not use all the resources that we have to the full extent, and lots of fish go to export, and this is not mostly food. This is basically the source of additional income. We are trying to work with renewable resources. I don't know whether there are any cases of catching too much fish, depleting the resources that we have, because it takes 20 to 30 years to renew the resources that have been depleted. I don't see that with other countries, probably not because they do not treat their resources well, but because they don't have enough competence. And I believe that our mission for today is to exchange data, exchange technologies, especially with our partners and friends. So what do you think are the prospects and the potential for cooperation between our two countries? I would also be interested to know what technologies are you using in China for research? Dear ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for their invitation. I'm the head of International Maritime Technology Development Center, the State Committee for Reform in China. I'm the head of International Center of Tsingtao City and the Innovation Center at Shenzhen. Our centers are responsible for international cooperation with over 125 countries. And the most important thing in our work is oceanographic cooperation and cooperation in the fishery industry. Before the pandemic, we started cooperating closely with Russia and VNIRO in particular, but the pandemic has disrupted our cooperation, which we are now trying to restore. I would like to tell you a bit about our company in Shenzhen. This is a platform for cooperation between our industries and companies, not a single company. This is a platform that was established by the State Committee for Development and Reform in China, and the leadership of our state-owned corporation, Hojun. And this platform is a unique format, and it's for the first time that this has been created in China. This format includes research and investment raising. We call it finance and state governance consolidation. Especially at the background of the comprehensive strategic partnership between Russia and China of the new era, our entity is activating and deepening cooperation in maritime technologies, both with Russia and multilateral formats. Our main mission is to help our companies using state-owned resources and international cooperation to engage in international partnerships together with our partners. We hope that our joint work with VNIRO will yield new results in maritime technologies in particular. To save time, I give the floor to my colleague to give my presentation in Russian. Dear colleagues, the presentation by Mr. Bing in Chinese fishing industry. The framework of the agreement One Way, One Belt, One Road has made a lot of progress. We are using technical innovation and development in various spheres, including fishery. I will give you the outline, and then we will be able to discuss it in more detail.
So the development of fisheries industry in China The next slide, please. Okay. So the analysis that we conducted, the cooperation with China, between China and Russia in marine fisheries, and we conducted environmental analysis. We executed the expedition, and we also manufactured equipment, and we also dealt with the prevention of natural disasters. So here you can see the application of remote sensing with the satellites. Here you can see some examples. Haiyan-1 satellite. The use of remote sensing by satellites in oceanographic research and the application that we have analyzed. The elaboration and development of the database and digital ocean that helps us to analyze and develop the economy of the fish production, also the information about coastal areas and the improvement of the database of the full list of the elements, all the biological water resources, aquatic biological resources, and the list that was elaborated, and also the digital fish system, long-term forecasts of the fish catch in some industrial areas. Here we can see the distribution of temperatures all around the ocean and the figures for the volume of the catch and the forecast for the future developments there. Everyday forecasts for the fish production conditions and also the analysis of the location of fishing vessels, and Haiyan satellite has given us this information. So the detection of the location of industrial fishing vessels, all the data about where they are, both at day and at night. And this is an example of remote sensing at night. This is our fourth point. And this is acoustic remote sensing of ocean, assessment of all the fish resources and the reserves of the fish mass there using their aquatic tools. And precise fisheries with their precise, accurate imitation of the sounds produced by a fish, it helps us to understand better this system. And also the acoustic converters and the imitation of those sounds and these tools that are helping us to do this work. The development of the so-called marine rancho with the environmental method of rearing Pacific salmon in the area of Kuril Island, and the assessment of the advantages of building such rancho in the Far East, and also the assessment and evaluation of the demand on the Russian market and on the markets of neighboring countries. The plans for the development and our goals, the improvement of new opportunities using remote sensing based at the existing technologies in order to get more accurate and precise forecast information, the improvement of technical characteristics of all the fisheries devices, also the improvement of its efficiency to detect acoustic signals from various species of fish, improvement of database of the sound of various species of fish using automated management system of precise fisheries, and also elaboration and improved mechanism for collecting all the data and exercising the forecast of the overall environment for fisheries, the innovative cooperation and its prospects. So China has achieved great progress in scientific innovations because a lot of funds were allocated for this purpose. So we invested a lot into R&D research back in 2022. The overall investment amounted to 420 billion, and it was the indicator that exceeded overall figures all around the world, and we are creating a new powerful scientific technical database. And of course, if we compare this power with the Soviet times, less funds are allocated, and Russia is lagging behind in this regard, and R&D research and organization face certain difficulties in terms of innovations and the use of the results. And that weakens the overall problems and general problems of scientific and technological cooperation that Russia and China are facing in their partnerships. Here I put forward some proposals for the cooperation and development of expansion of its partnerships, and this is quite a sensitive area in fisheries and the protection of coastal area, and this is the key sector we should be focusing on because it ensures safety and security. These are our joint proposals for the environmental protection and also the study of new renewable energy sources and also rescue operations and some tourism activities. Here we also put forward some mechanisms for this work and international cooperation, expansion, the development of unified platforms, promoting our cooperation with various enterprises, taking into consideration an active development of ties between Russia and China. We are entering a new epoch. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for interesting information and for the proposals that you have put forward. And I think that we are now at a high level of trust and development, but we are only at the beginning of this journey because what you are offering is quite interesting for us. Today we are going to sign an memorandum of understanding, and I think that many issues that have been raised today during the discussions and were mentioned in the presentation will be put into practice. And I think that there is a good ground for future cooperation. As for Digital Ocean, the first speaker we had, Mr. Badera, told us about a specialized program that we have developed at the Institute that helps us to deal with freshwater species of fish, the methods for the catch and weather, and we can see all of it in one telephone. And probably you will be interested in those developments. They can be quite promising also for our Chinese partners, and these technologies are quite popular among ordinary people. When you go fishing, thanks to this information, a person can get the understanding of what he will be able to see there and how he should be prepared for the fishing process and also analyze the catch. So these high technologies are entering our everyday life, and fishermen can use them as well, the amateur fishermen. And now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Vyacheslav Bizikov. Please tell us more about the existing trends in the fishing industry, in the fisheries science, and the research that was conducted, and the prospects that you envision for this sector. Thank you, Kirill. Could you please show my presentation on the screen? So today I'd like to briefly talk you about the modern trends in the fisheries sector industry and how these trends are executed in our everyday life and everyday routine at VNIRO Institute. Please, operators, do help me with the slides. The second one. Yes, please. Okay, I will be clicking them. Thank you. So, among the areas we are working in fisheries research, the most advanced in terms of technological achievements, the subsea fisheries research, the aviation research of the distribution of hydrobionts, also remote monitoring of inland waters and the fishing areas of the world's ocean, and hydroacoustic research, and also digitalization of fisheries research. Here we deal with the intense use of various types of neuro self-educated systems, AI, GIS systems, and systems of managing the big data. I'd like to note that our research is based on a very good foundation. For example, subsea research in the fisheries industry in the framework of the Ministry of Fisheries back in the times of the Soviet Union with the submarine Severanka. That happened back in 1957, and in 1963 in Sevastopol. We developed a scientific research basis that was included into the Ministry of the Fisheries of the Soviet Union, and to operated the subsea devices of various modifications that you can now see on the slide. Overall, this database included 20 types of machines from 100 meters to 6,000 meters, and that was what promoted the development of the fisheries industry, and that these vessels were the barriers of those trends, and it spent the major part of the year in those fisheries areas. And this work continued until the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was quite intense, and during those 25 years, Gidronaft base didn't have any emergencies, any accidents with victims. So that was quite a successful operable experience, and no country can boast such results. And all those vessels or those vehicles were manufactured in our country. Now the situation has changed. We have some subsea vehicles, Mir, that belongs to the Russian Academy of Science, Oceanographic Institute at VNIRO. We have the managed subsea vehicles of various types of classes, and we use that for the monitoring of the fisheries areas, primarily the Far Eastern fisheries basin, and we plan to develop a unified industry program and the strategy for the use of such vehicles. They provide us with very useful information and data, and they allow us to bring the understanding of biology to a completely new, brand new level. And all around the world, we have well-known examples of such subsea vehicles. For example, thanks to these machines, like an octopus can rear its eggs for more than 3 years, and it does not eat anything during this time, and also some very interesting data about the squids. And subsea vehicles help us to see fish in various complicated areas where it is very difficult to record the presence of these aquatic biological resources, and it is very difficult to catch fish there. So these vehicles give us digital information, and that helps us to get much more information as a result of such research. Another area we are focusing on is growing quite rapidly in our institute. A lot has been mentioned before about this area: the aviation, the aerial research, and the data that we obtain during them. When we study the marine mammals and also Pacific salmon, it is a completely new area. And of course, we do face some objective difficulties that we are trying to resolve. And of course, we need to timely react using the machine eyesight in order to detect it and to automatically record all these data. And we have had successful experience of applying that in fisheries research. Just I'd like to give you an example that annually we apply an unmanned aerial vehicles for the aerial record. We started with some small water area, Ladaga Lake. It happened in 2020, but now we are growing the scale of our work. We did that the Baikal Lake, and on the map you can see the detailed scanning that we obtain as a result of the work of these vehicles in those water areas. We're just scanning the information and getting all the information about this specific district or this specific area. In spring 2023, the most recent experience that we've had, a large scale research of the Caspian seal, and there we used both unmanned vehicles and also amphibia airplane from the International Foundation of Clean Seas, and my colleagues will elaborate on that a little bit later. Vasily will be talking about this. And as a result, we saw the synergy between using both unmanned vehicles and normal, ordinary airplanes.
As for Pacific salmon, we have been working in the Far East, Kamchatka, Sakhalin, Magadan region, Khabarovsk region. And our branches in the far east of Russia have shown that these technologies are applied quite successfully. The main mission is to monitor salmon and seal. This data helps us not only determine the number of fish, but also the how much they are going for spawning. We see the we can see the images of the bottom layer and identify where spawning for different types of fish may happen. All this is terabytes of new information per each expedition. We are monitoring this from satellites. Using our group on the orbit, we are controlling the temperature, the winds, the chlorophyll, the contamination. We are using distant monitoring technologies. You may see the chart of continuous surveillance. This data is being used to identify short-term and long-term forecasts. These data have been used to monitor the scale of man-made disasters and catastrophes. I am concluding my presentation. We have been working with these technologies a lot. Kirill mentioned that we have already introduced artificial intelligence for short-term forecasts. In the Black Sea basin, we are forecasting our forecast has an accuracy of 86%. And you have covered other technologies in full, so new tools give us a lot of new information, terabytes, petabytes of new information. Storing, processing, and analyzing this requires a completely new database, a completely new information environment. We are now running the concept of this database that would reflect the new trends in the fishery industry. This includes robotics and integrating information from various sources into a single database and information system. Operators and experts may make informed decisions based on this. Thank you, Vyacheslav. I would like to mention that we've got our colleagues from Kazakhstan. We've been cooperating with them a lot to study aquatic biological resources in the Caspian Sea. We had a commission, we signed several documents and discussed prospects of our cooperation. What are the differences and similarities in our technologies that we're applying? Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak at this roundtable. As you have already pointed out, we have been cooperating as part of the Caspian program. Now, I would like to give you an outline of the results that we have gained from this cooperation and of the research methods that we have introduced in our country to do research in the Caspian Sea. First, I would like to give you some background. Our company is privately owned And we have been researching aquatic biological resources of the Caspian Sea starting from 2007. As everyone would know, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, science, and especially fishery science, has lagged behind. We have lost many of the achievements made in the Soviet times. That's where we had to start our journey to innovation. As you may know, the Caspian Sea has had a problem of fish reserves in terms of sturgeon, and we have had to forbid catching it, including for research. And these were the main constraints for doing research. The low numbers of sturgeons made it impossible to use trawling, because it didn't give us a lot of information, because there wasn't a lot of sturgeon caught in the trawl. It also made it impossible to make biological analysis, to do biological analysis. We could not identify the gender and age structure, and to study if there were any parasites. These were the conditions in which we had to apply additional methodologies to adjust for the context that they had at that time. First, we needed to expand the area of research. And that's why we had to introduce the hydroacoustic method of imaging. Trawling was also used to help us interpret the outcome we had from hydroacoustic methods. Currently, all our research ships are equipped with echo sounders, and we have very low depth of 7 meters at the most, and mostly 4 meters. This also increases the constraints that we are facing in doing research. But the methods that we are using now help us increase the area being studied from 116 hectares to up to 1,700 hectares. Trawling and hydroacoustic imaging help us build a map of density with a breakdown by seasons, and this gives us a way to produce recommendations for catching fish. Again, the absence of an opportunity to take out sturgeon for research made it impossible for us to trace specific parameters for fish. We had to overcome the obstacle by introducing mandatory ultrasound research to identify gender structure and age. This is where we had to use the help of Russian colleagues again. We sent our experts to the Kuban Sturgeon Institute. Now I am the head of research in the Caspian Sea on the Kazakhstan side. Around 3.5% of sturgeon and 40% of Persian sturgeon were mature enough. We were able to see the gender structure. With the moratorium that has been in place for 10 years, we now see an equal distribution of genders, because there were very small number of female sturgeon. Now they are basically the same. Another Turbothecia Caspian seal. We have been researching that with our Russian colleagues using multispectrum imaging. You can see the chart on the screen. We are using Piper aircraft with using high resolution imaging, GPS technology, and other. The second picture shows the results that helps us determine the size of populations in the sea. We estimate that there is a difference between multispectrum analysis and the old-fashioned visual surveillance. The old way gave us less than 80% accuracy, whilst now it reaches 95%. You can now see the estimated numbers of seal in the sea. We try to use a minimum guaranteed size in our analysis. That's what we have implemented in our company to do research. That's basically it, but it has been a huge leap forward for us. Again, just like our Russian colleagues, we are developing and implementing applications for amateur fishermen to identify the areas where they can catch some fish, where they can get a license for fishing, what type of fish they can catch there. For 3 years now, we have had this practice of paperless licenses. Now you can use an e-government portal, which is much more efficient and which has made it easier to obtain such licenses, and has decreased the number of illegal poaching. That concludes my presentation. Dear colleagues, we've got very limited time, so I would ask you to limit your presentation to a few minutes. I would now like to give the floor to our Mauritanian colleague from the Fishery Institute, Ali Beiba. Please, the floor is yours. Could you please tell us more about the research cooperation in Mauritania? Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for letting me speak at your forum, the International Forum. I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers of the forum and the Federal Agency for Fisheries. I will speak in French. My apologies for that.
L'Institut mauritanien de recherche océanographique et de pêche.
The exclusive economic zone covers 234 kilometers, and that's the context I am giving you. The continental zone is 39 kilometers, and 12,000 square kilometers is the highly protected zone of Africa. Mauritania has more than 3,000 species, and the ecosystem that we have is very diversified. We've got rich biological variety. The biological fish is 1.4 million tons. Only pelagic fish. Shellfish are a very important type of product for Mauritania, and these include octopus, especially important for Mauritania, crustacean, shrimp, and other. Apart from that, various types of fish that are commercially relevant. You may see the historical perspective here from the past century.
So here you can see three main stages of our development of the centers. It all started back in the 1950s. Then we had the stage of the development of an international center in 1978, and since 2002 we have had the development of IMROP organization. And I would like also to note that the center that was built in 1978, the building was constructed with the help of the Soviet Union. The Institute of MROP is a multidiscipline institute that contributes a lot into the development of various research activities. Precisely, it helps to preserve the biodiversity in aquaculture and also the marine resources. It also about the elaboration of measures in order to preserve the legacy, the national legacy. We assess the economic contribution and all of this is necessary in order to ensure the long-term use of marine resources and also help integrate all the marine ecosystems. And in order to execute this mission, the Institute has the following authority: the oversight and monitoring over biological aquatic resources, and also the assessment of the physical habitat and environment, and also the preservation of biodiversity and the quality of marine waters. Besides that, we carry out the monitoring of marine resources. We also contribute to the development of the clean manufacturing facilities. Moreover, we study various tools for fish catch. And we also prepare data and information in order to manage these resources in the fisheries industry. Besides, we also do the planning for our future research. We have 5-year plan, and then we divide that into annual plans, and in accordance with that, we elaborate our strategy. Our scientific council includes some active members, and they also work with the international agenda. And here you can see the status and the composition of this National Council. Here we have 12 scientific members of very high-level, distinguished scientists. One member of this council, of this scientific committee, is from Atlantino. So our scientific programs study ecosystems, various services, and also we study the impact. Moreover, we study the resources, we do the diagnostics and detection of the impact that they have on the overall status of the resources. And the third program is aimed at the description and the conclusion about the state of the fisheries industry status. Here you can see in our organizational chart how we organize our scientific activities. We do have our own database storage, our own laboratories, and that is how we collect our data and gather it together in our special journal. So here you can see some results of our work. Just briefly, I will elaborate on that. The thermal front, we evaluate the quality of the environment and we monitor the pollution indicators. We use certain points for that. And we also have the following resources. We carry out some geological surveys for various species of fish, for example, octopus, which is our strategic product. We also track the status of biodiversity and try to preserve that. So here you can see their plan for the fisheries development. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And now I'd like to give the floor to General Director of Clean Seas International Foundation, Mr. Vasily Bogoslovsky. Please stick to the time limit. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Kirill. Distinguished colleagues, I'd like to briefly present, taking into consideration the time limit, and a lot has been already mentioned by Oleg and by Vyacheslav about our expeditions that we organize, and our most recent experimental expedition has been quite unique. It was a unique project that we organized together with the Clean Seas Foundation and VNIRO Institute. And we also got some help from Mr. Badera and his company of unmanned vehicles. And I'd like to say that we have been doing that since 2018. We have organized all those expeditions, but this is a completely new format with the use of aerial laboratory and all those unmanned vehicles. And we managed to perform this unique activity with the full scale description of water areas, and some minutes we can dedicate to watching the video that will demonstrate the work that has been done, if it is possible to do that from a technical point of view. Do you have it? This is the video. It's quite short, and let's watch it. Winter of 2023 was rather cold, and it was very good condition to study a Pacific seal. That is the route that we will follow. This is the navigation device that we will be using for this purpose, and that is for the first time since 2012 in our Caspian Sea. We got ice conditions. Have you checked it? Yes, we have checked it. You can launch it. On the 25th of February, our team of the expedition flew over the first of 5 routes to find the seals. And normally at the end of February, there is this spawning season, and that is what the specialists are analyzing. So at this period of time, we have the numerous numbers of small seals being born, and we can see them there, and we can analyze their conditions, and then they go into the Caspian Sea, and then the males are waiting for them. So that is how the seals are born. It is a very rapid process. That's why it is so important to do that very fast. And the birth rate exceeds the death rate. About 700 dead seals were found in Dagestan, and they were getting some samples of the ground in December 2022. 700 dead seals were found there, and that was the reason to organize this expedition. And we were trying to find out the reasons of such death. But we know that this is not the first time that it happened. Back in 1832, an expedition was organized by Grigory Karelin, and they saw it there that after spring, due to some circumstances, the movement of ice, and they are perishing there because of the lack of oxygen. And they go into the low deep waters. And thanks to the initiative of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Lukoil help, we organized these full-scale expeditions for the first time. We used both types of vehicles, unmanned vehicles and normal airplanes. So here at the edge of the ice, we didn't see any seals, and the task of the airplane is to find the place where the seals are, and then they calculate the overall number and the size of those seals. All those airplanes are manufactured in Russia, and they have all the necessary devices for navigation and for the record of information. Have you seen a lot of seals? Yes, we have seen a lot of them on both sides. Overall, about 300, 400 seals. Over the total period, we had 15 flights, and the total route was more than 5,000 kilometers. We processed the materials that we obtained during the expeditions. It took us about several months, and scientists have calculated that from 20th of February until 5th of March, there were more than 19,000 seals, and more than 4,000 of them are like baby seals. Thank you. And we have thus managing director from Russian Agricultural Bank, Natalia. Please tell us about the programs that you are offering to the companies in terms of the topics that we have discussed. Thank you very much. These reports were quite interesting, and as a bank, we do not have this profound understanding of those technologies, especially dealing with the fisheries developments, but now we are working on that. As a bank, we have been supporting the development of agro-tech startups. We have been doing this work for more than 4 years. We have a large ecosystem for the support of innovations and technologies. The next slide, please.
Спасибо.
The things that I would like to tell you today are as follows. We are most important bank in the agro-industrial sphere, and we need to help our small and medium-sized businesses not just to develop, but also to integrate new technologies. It's an open secret that introducing new technologies will help the business grow, boost efficiency and productivity, and we're doing a lot to get our clients to know the technologies that are available today and to find synergies between the young and more mature teams involved in developing innovative solutions and those who need those technologies. That's why we have implemented quite a number of programs in the past few years for those who are involved in innovations in agriculture, starting from the youngest ones who are still at school and to colleges and universities, companies and startups. Together with my colleagues from Skolkovo, whom I can see here today, from AgroTech Hub, we are holding accelerators for school children, for students, college students, and we have also introduced a competition for students in fish tech. We will be able to discuss the research that we have available a bit later. We've got a huge hub for those involved in IT in the agricultural area. We hold championships, competitions and other activities that to help specialists know what is in demand, and we are holding hackathons to help them develop new solutions for those tasks that are in demand. We may not have our own scientific expertise, but we've got lots of connections to provide the right track. We have also launched an Agro Invest Club for those who are interested in investing into agrotech startups. We have found quite a number of venture funds, including retail, agricultural holding companies. And this, again, helps us go deeper into the fisheries industry. That's why I'm here today. We are interested in demonstrating projects from this area to our potential investors, and we have been discussing the projects that are available now. And at the same time, we've got a number of startups. There are few in this area, but still there are some. We can see huge demand for the solutions that are developing both in Russia and abroad. And we are trying to compensate for the lack of communication between those startups and those who need their solutions. We hold agro meetups several times per year, sometimes involving other countries, and looking for prospects for cooperation in technologies with Brazil, China, Indonesia, and Belarus. This year, we are scheduling Morocco, United Arab Emirates, and India. Again, India is one of the countries that has access to oceans and has lots of fish. It's great that we have the international dimensions here because we are cooperating with our agricultural attaché and trade representatives and Chamber of Commerce and Industry, so we can help you join their communication. We are working with colleges and universities there is a platform for students to help them locate employers and help employers find great talent. And we will have a presentation of this platform here today. We are open for communication, for dialogue, for cooperation. We see lots of feedback from the young people. The perceptions of working in the agricultural sector is shifting because there are quite a few digital professions in the sector right now. Biotech selection and other interesting areas. IT is in high demand in the agricultural sector because that's a blue ocean, so to say, for the IT sphere and startups. We are trying to build full-scale partnerships, not just telling everyone about startups, but also promoting them, helping them sell through our platform. We demonstrate the results of IT solutions for farmers at our platform. Easy to buy solutions. We have got analytical reviews, podcasts, and digests, analytical reports. So look us up. You will see very interesting content there. We've got podcasts with fish companies, and we are happy to cooperate with you to prepare interesting content and analytics. The next thing I would like to point out is the patent competition that we have launched. This is a pilot project. The Roundtable platform that we've got is an accessible platform that anyone can join. There are over 200 startups there. We are monitoring their development. So if you are looking for technological partners to implement advanced innovation, look them up on our platform. We are working with the college students to boost the commercial potential of their developments. It's one of the issues in our countries. We are good at inventing things, but we are very bad at promoting them and selling them. We've got the list of patents in the fish industry, and we are helping people find their commercial potential, look for bottlenecks, and find the solutions to low demand for their solutions. We have found around 20 patents for those who have real commercial potential. These are not just scientific research just for pleasure. 12 of them have already been evaluated. We are now checking their commercial potential, and this is a great opportunity to join our competition as a partner, to look at the research that we have been able to gather, and if you see any potential for cooperation, you will be the first to get in touch with them through our patents competition. We are working with the Patent Authority of the Russian Federation, venture funds, Voshod, that is looking at the far east of Russia, especially in terms of the fishing industry. We've got a great pipeline of partners and participants in the competition. By November, we'll be having the first results, and I'm happy to invite anyone who is interested to join this first competition. That's basically it. My contacts are here. I'm open for cooperation. Thank you. Thank you, Natalia. Dear colleagues, our moderator, Kirill Kalanchin, had to go to sign an international memorandum. So he asked me to make some conclusions from our roundtable today. I think we've had a very interesting discussion of scientific progress in the fish industry of our time. And this discussion has shown that the issues and challenges that we are facing in the fish research in various countries represented here today are similar to the issues and challenges that we face in our daily work and that we are trying to resolve. And this shows a potential for synergy, a potential for international cooperation in resolving those issues in the area of scientific and technological progress in the fishing industry. This cooperation may be mutually beneficial for all the parties, and I believe and I hope that our roundtable today will give an impetus to develop fish science, the science that we all love and help grow. Natalia has shown the financial tools for providing support to research. I thank all the participants in our today.